Okay, so we've all got that digital dumping ground, right? Photos, videos, random files we don't even remember making. It all just kind of ends up in the cloud. But what if I told you that's barely even scratching the surface of what cloud storage can actually do?
Okay. I'm intrigued.
That's what we're diving into today. The different types of cloud storage. These things are powering everything, your favorite apps, global companies, you name it. We're actually tapping into an episode of the CloudBenders podcast for this. They're great at breaking down tech stuff.
Oh, I've heard of them. They make it make sense, even for someone like me.
Exactly. Get ready to become a bit of an expert on object storage, file storage, and block storage. And it's not just about sounding cool at parties, though there's that too. It's about being smart with your data. So first up, object storage. The podcast uses this awesome analogy of a digital warehouse.
Okay, I kind of get that. Like, instead of physical boxes, it's our digital stuff.
Yeah, but instead of shelves, think objects. And these objects, they're not in one physical place. They're across a huge network of servers.
Right, right. So how does it actually work then? How do I find my stuff?
That's the cool part. Each object, be it a photo, a video, or a massive data set, gets this unique ID, like a digital fingerprint.
Interesting.
And here's where it gets seriously powerful. Each object is self-contained. It's got its own metadata, so you can grab it without sifting through folders like we're used to.
Ah, okay.
The CloudBenders episode compared it to a library. You don't have to go shelf by shelf to find a book. You use the call number and boom, you've got it. Object storage is similar. It's built for massive scale and efficiency. Terabytes, petabytes, no sweat.
So we're talking huge amounts of data here. But what are some real-world examples of how it's used?
Right. The podcast had some compelling cases.
Like what?
Well, think about a media company and all their video content, or online stores with millions of product images.
Ah, okay. That makes sense.
It's perfect for that massive amount of data that doesn't change too often. Plus, it's super scalable, need more storage, no problem. You just add it without needing to rework a ton of infrastructure.
So it's cost-effective and efficient. But what if I'm working on something where I need to constantly access files, maybe collaborate with my team in real time? Is object storage still the best fit?
That's a great point. And it brings up a key factor when picking the right type of cloud storage. How often do you need to get to that data and change it? While object storage is awesome for large static data, it's not built for constant updates or real-time teamwork. For that, we need to look at another type, file storage. File storage, now that sounds a little more familiar, right? Like our good old file cabinets, just digital.
Exactly. It's all about recreating that system of folders and files we know from our computers.
Yeah.
It's like taking your documents folder and just putting it online so you can get to it from anywhere.
And the CloudBenders folks really highlighted a major plus for this collaboration.
Oh, absolutely. File storage is made for sharing where multiple people can be in there at the same time, editing, saving, you name it. Really powerful for teams, especially with documents, spreadsheets, things that change a lot.
They even mentioned some names you might recognize, like AWS has their Elastic File System, Azure Files, Google's got FileStore. Seems like a lot of choices out there.
Tons. And the cool thing is, these are often built for big companies, serious stuff. They've got the security, they let you control who sees what, even version history so you can go back to older versions if you need to, like a time machine for your files.
That's wild, but just like object storage isn't one size fits all, I'm guessing file storage has its limits too.
You got it. While it's great for sharing and all that, it doesn't scale up as massively or as cheaply as object storage. Think of it like this. File storage is a well-organized office, right? Works great for a team, but if you suddenly need to store the entire Library of Congress, you might need a different plan.
So knowing what each one is good at and not so good at is key. Then picking the right tool for the job.
Exactly. And sometimes the best solution is using a mix of them, a little bit of this, a little bit of that, to get exactly what you need.
Okay, that makes sense. Now this next one, block storage. The podcast made it sound like the race car of cloud storage. Fast, powerful, but maybe not your everyday driver.
That's a great way to put it. Block storage is all about speed, pure performance. It's for stuff that needs super fast reading and writing of data, like no lag time.
So break it down for us. What makes it so different from the other two?
Well, unlike those which handle data as files or objects, block storage gets down to a much lower level. Imagine your data not as a whole file, but like Lego blocks, all separate. These blocks are stored independently and you can access them directly, no need to go through a whole file system. This direct access, plus how it works with the actual hardware, that's what makes it lightning fast.
And the podcast mentioned this is perfect for certain things that rely on that speed.
Yeah, like databases, those need to be constantly reading and writing data to manage information. Or think about a virtual computer, it needs to access its system files super quickly to even work. Those are prime examples of where block storage shines.
And they mentioned some familiar names too. AWS has their Elastic Block Store, Azure's managed disks, Google's persistent disk. So this is powering some serious stuff under the hood.
No doubt. If you need super low latency, like those tiny delays that can mess things up for users, block storage is probably involved.
Makes sense, but this sounds pricey. Is it only for the big players or?
Yeah, it's definitely more expensive than object storage or file storage. You're paying for that top-tier performance.
What we were saying before, the right tool for the job, right? No need for a race car to grab groceries.
Exactly. If you don't need that crazy speed, it's not the most cost-effective solution.
Wow, total brain upgrade today. I feel like I actually get cloud storage now. It's not just this big mystery anymore.
Right. We got a peek behind the scenes at how it all works.
And speaking of, the CloudBenders podcast mentioned some really wild stuff coming down the pipeline. Things like hybrid solutions, AI optimization, even serverless storage. What does that even mean?
Yeah, it's like cloud storage is evolving faster than ever.
So break it down for us. What's the deal with these futuristic terms?
Well, hybrid solutions, that's basically combining different types of storage, even bringing in the stuff you have on site to make one big seamless system.
So instead of picking just one type, companies can mix and match.
Exactly. It's about getting the perfect setup, flexible and efficient. Then there's AI optimization. Imagine your storage is actually learning how you use it, predicting what data you'll need next, even preloading it so it's ready to go instantly.
Whoa, it's like having a personal assistant for your data. That's amazing.
It really is. And it shows how much AI is going to change how we use data. And lastly, serverless storage. Sounds kind of out there, right?
Yeah.
Basically, you're not even worrying about the servers anymore, just storing your data and letting the cloud provider handle all the technical stuff.
That sounds like a dream.
Yeah.
Especially for companies that don't have the time or people to manage all that complicated IT stuff themselves.
Absolutely. And this whole serverless thing is only going to get bigger.
This has been an amazing deep dive. I feel like I went from knowing nothing about cloud storage to actually understanding it.
You're well on your way to becoming an expert.
So for our listeners, why should they care about all this? What's the main takeaway?
That's a great question. I think the biggest thing is cloud storage isn't some extra thing anymore. It's essential. Whether you're an individual with personal files or a huge company with tons of data, knowing the different types of cloud storage and how they work is so important for making smart decisions about your data.
Couldn't have said it better myself.
Yeah.
And the CloudBenders podcast did an awesome job making it all clear and interesting.
Definitely. They left us with a really thought-provoking question, too. With all this crazy innovation happening in storage tech, how is it going to change how we work, how we collaborate, even how we create in the future?
That's a great question. It really makes you think about what's next for the digital world. Until next time, keep exploring, keep learning, and keep diving deep.